Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing The Beekeeper, directed by David Ayer, starring Jason Statham. And The Beekeeper is one of those action films that follows the conventional trope of having an experienced hero come out of retirement for one last fight. Now, I am always down for a quick hour and a half Jason Statham action film. You know the fight scenes are going to deliver, you know the action is going to be pretty hard-hitting and brutal. He's one of those stars who's solidified and typecast himself in a particular genre of the film business, but he has very much made it his own. That being said, it feels like The Beekeeper is trying to be something different. It is trying to elevate itself beyond this kind of B-list basic action film to find this distinct tone of voice and to have some eccentric, quirky, weird and wacky characters along the way. And it just does not work. The main problem with The Beekeeper, overlooking a very poor setup and a very shoddy script, is the tone of the film, because it cannot decide what it wants to be. The Beekeepers is this kind of code name for this gang of elite operatives who basically come in to do jobs that none of the known agencies can do. You've seen it before, no doubt you've seen it done better, no doubt we'll see it done again. But when they retire, it also seems as though the only career option for these beekeepers is to be literal beekeepers, which is hilarious in and of itself, but the script doesn't seem to capitalize on that. It just keeps throwing in these bee puns into the script in the hopes that they come across as funny, but because the tone of the film isn't always trying to be funny, it just jars you. Coming out with stuff like to be or not to be, and all this stuff could have had a kind of Kingsman, John Wicky feel and a sense of like overly gratuitous violent fun to it, but at no point in the film does The Beekeeper feel like it has a grip on what that tone should be. And that is so evident from the get-go, because the whole premise that catalyzes the plot of the film and sets it in motion is that this woman who lets Jason Statham's character tend bees on her land gets involved in a online scam that wipes out all her bank accounts. And her first reaction, bearing in mind that this woman has 2 children, one of whom works in law enforcement, her first reaction is to shoot herself in the head. I was borderline laughing at that point, because you're supposed to feel sad and sorry for this woman who, while being a bit technologically inept, feels like she has a lot to live for, and a lot of contacts who it would be maybe worth inquiring with before the permanent decision of offing yourself is considered. But the film genuinely makes zero attempt to make that seem anything more than just a convenient plot point to speed the film along. Because had the film delved a bit deeper into the relationship between this woman and Jason Statham's character, like had there been a couple more scenes to establish the warmth between those 2 characters, then the ensuing violence would have felt a bit more cathartic. I think it would have landed more satisfying, knowing that you were a bit more emotionally invested in that setup. But because it is so haphazardly done in the script, you really don't care. There's times when you're watching certain scenes and you think the film is trying to be this John Wick gun fun type of film. There's a bit of a lack of seriousness, a lot of ridiculousness that feels like it can't be trying to take itself seriously. But then there's a lot of other points in the film where it feels like it isn't trying to be fun and funny, and genuinely is taking this plot and itself a bit too seriously. So the inability to traverse that tone and land it is really damaging for this film overall. There's a point when Jason Statham's character gets ambushed at a petrol station by an assassin after a hit gets put on him, and she's wearing this very bright, character-defining purple long coat, whips a Gatling gun out the back of her truck and just tears this petrol station to shreds. The bullet is like laser fire, the sort of which David Ayer used for the tanks and the guns in Fury. And suddenly the film becomes this really stylized action piece. And you think, oh okay, is that the movie we're watching? And then in probably the best action scene in the film, which is the final 1v1 Jason Statham has, again with a mercenary, this South African mercenary who wears bright yellow and walks around making bee puns a lot of the time. And we have to buy into the fact that this guy and his gang of mercenaries would be allowed to sit around and protect the President of the United States of America. So there's action elements and plot elements that feel a bit confused tonally with what they want to be and where they want to be playing it in the film. The action is aesthetic, it's slick, it's clean cut, it's not anything particularly standalone defining. There is the ingredients here for an elevated, stylized film with its own mythology and lore, and a fantastic, capable leading action star in Jason Statham. Even if the on and off accent really brings you out of the film at times, it will never not be satisfying to watch Jason Statham beat up a lot of entitled punk children. But at no point in the film does it feel like it knows what its destination is, does it know what its ending is. Because the ending scene in and of itself feels so harsh cut. Feels like it's denying you probably an extra 5 minutes to reassess what's just happened and the character fallout. It cuts to the credits at a point when you just think like, fair play, the action's over. But the story can't be asked to finish itself off. It's worth watching for the 1 or 2 brief bits of violence, which don't really do anything new or feel inspired, but they're well choreographed, they land with an impact. But otherwise avoid going in to watch this film, guys, because you will have entered into the hornet's nest, to use one of the many, many puns that the Beekeeper uses. But if you have seen this film, guys, do drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Please also consider liking and subscribing to the channel, that's always a huge help for me. And in the meantime, we'll see you for the next vid.